Well, most of these women that have been busted on my channel are women who came to this through web sleuth groups. Most of them. Many of them sent me messages and sent me friend requests right when Natalie disappeared. They weren't interested in being friends, though. They were interested in gaslighting. They were interested in bullshitting. They were interested in getting interactive in the drama. Because for them, there's no connection between me and anybody else they saw on the internet except for the fact that I do try to get help actively every day. Now, we've got these bullshit excuses, don't we? These people can spend literally hundreds of hours typing with me, dragging a conversation that would take, what, an hour out for literally years. You know, and these people just want to give me pretty words instead of help me turn it in. All right, anything other than helping me turn it in is fucking useless. If you're not helping me to turn it in, then go away. That's not a problem for me. I don't mind telling you to go away. I don't mind asking you first. I don't mind explaining to you why you need to go away. Now let's get to Cara McBratney here. What tactics do women use when they get nosy and want to stick their nose in your business and get all fucking drama about it? They want to find that little piece they can go run around and spreading to all their friends. Oh, I know more than everybody else. I know more than everybody. But only when it's popular. When they found Lopez, none of you guys gave a shit anymore. You became pretty words, same as always. These groups that were made to help me, it was people just like you playing victim when you did something fucked up. When you played head games. It's not just you, Cara McBratney. Everyone does this. I'm a disabled homeless male. I don't fucking matter unless you actually care. Telling me you care is not the same as actually caring. What are your motives for getting a hold of me? What are your motives for sending me a friend request? What are your motives for pretending to fucking care? You've been taught, let's explain it like this. Useful work. Useful work. If I've got a therapist to go bitch at my shit about, that's not really useful work if I'm going to that person because that's who I'm sent to because they're a mandated reporter to help me to turn this shit in. Somebody telling me they're fucking sorry, that just shows me they're pathetic. What shows me that somebody cares is when I say, hey, I was just victimized. And they say, well, let's fucking turn it in. That should have been the immediate response from anybody who actually cared about me. Men are treated neutral. We don't matter. We just exist. But we're not really treated neutral, are we? We're treated worse than you because, well, women, us girls got to work together. How many of my predators wanted to pull that us girls got to work together thing with their victims? Why did Rihanna Ingersoll pull that? The us girls got to stick together with Amy Kalina Kingery's girls after she was beating on them. It's because she didn't want to get in trouble. Meanwhile, the younger of the two had her own cell phone. And she had 911 on speed dial. I was hoping she'd press the button. She was afraid that because me and Rihanna had been friends for over 20 years, and because me and their mom had been friends for over 20 years, that I wasn't going to speak up. No, young ladies, I got you covered. I got you covered. Y'all didn't do anything wrong. It's not your fault Rihanna was the way that she was. The safety risks and issues that y'all were creating by running down to the bathroom all the damn time in a mobile RV park, that's really a very scary situation, especially in that part of Wyoming. especially with you being young girls, and especially with Rihanna being too drunk to escort you down there. Too busy getting drunk with Miranda. I'm glad you got a good foster home. I lost a lot of stuff doing that, but you were worth it. I'm sorry you weren't worth it to your mother to get off the fucking drugs. I'm sorry Rihanna Ingersoll hit you. A lot. I'm sorry that when I called it in anonymously, they didn't do anything about the assaults. I'm sorry they only showed up to make sure that you guys were being fed. I'm glad I did what I did. I'm glad her mother should have been the one to do that. Now this McBratney lady, a lot of people claim that they tried to help me. They didn't even try to understand. They didn't even try to understand. You get to see how we get to use words, how women are taught to play victim when they want to play fucking head games and start drama and create trauma by doing it. It's you're attacking me, or you can't expect people to drop their entire life. You didn't drop shit for me. It was entertainment to you, so you weren't dropping anything. It was just entertainment. When I had to be an asshole to you, holy shit, that was fucked. When you want to say, oh, well, you didn't message me for a couple of years. Why would I? Why would I message you when all you're going to do is fucking talk over me like I'm a retard? That's the support that men get from women. Men don't even give us that support. The things that you expect from men, do you stop to consider that we aren't given that? You give us empty promises you never follow through with. When you're harmed, you are able to go to the cops far easier than I am. I am more likely to get assaulted for trying to turn in a crime than I am for them to ever investigate it without someone like you actually giving a shit. That's what the mentally ill tag does, especially if you're homeless, especially if you're a male. But you are going to make it about you and pretend like I was eating up every single moment of the last 6 years. No, that 2 years there, that shows that you didn't give a shit to try to get in contact with me in that 2 years. It shows you weren't trying. Our message show that after you reached out to me, you stopped giving a shit. And I had to reach out to you to beg you to keep your word, to beg you to care. Because you didn't. I still take the abuse all these years later. You hope I get justice? No, you don't. You've done everything that you can to obstruct justice. I was just entertainment to you. Did you ever try looking at evidence and helping turn it in? Helping to turn it in. Did you ever speak up? Prove it. Because if you can prove that, and you come forward with it, it proves that the cops and the Bollingers fucking lied, that I should have been heard from the start, and that you guys were sexist. You want to use the laws that I literally had to break. I had to break the law and then say loud and proud on a public post that I had broken the law to try to force my predators to call it in. Do you know why? Because no matter what I do, even if it's not against the law, my predators try to get it taken down. They work together as a group while you are just pretty words. Oh, I'm sorry that happened. Fuck you. Fuck you. That's not fucking help. When I have to beg you years later to speak up because I'm still getting treated like I made you up, like you're a delusion, and then you want to tell me that you tried to help me. How? Did you try to help me by understanding? Or by telling me what to do like a piece of shit I don't have a vagina. Going to those places and playing on having a vagina doesn't work for me. Just like getting pulled over by a cop and flirting with him doesn't work for me. You want to use choice words. Every woman in America knows that when she does something wrong, if a man says something to her, she pretends that she's attacked immediately. How dare you attack me? Really? I told you did something wrong, because you did. Someone named Tammy George typed, "My words, sir, what did that damn McBratney woman do to you? I'm not sure I'd admit criminal activity on YouTube, kind sir." That's the point, is that I shouldn't have had to commit any criminal acts. I have many criminal acts recorded against me that I tried to turn in, and the attempts to turn them in, and how I was treated and blown off every single time that I had to go in alone. And when people claim that they would go in with me, that they would speak up, when did they ever? After I was railroaded in court, I could have gotten new court dates in those places like Arapahoe County, where I was literally tortured for telling the fucking truth. Those crimes that I committed, I pled guilty to what I was guilty of. But I shouldn't have had to do those things. People like this Cara McBratney lady should have been more than just bullshit, more than just words. Hundreds of women did this, and hundreds of men too. Claimed that they were going to help me. Now let's separate them into the different groups that they belong in, because that's where they put themselves. There's the people who tell me that I just need to love myself, the love and light people. That's not help. That doesn't help turn the predators in. That doesn't help an at-risk and endangered adult. Yes, a homeless man has to be afraid of being murdered by police. Well, you really have to doctor the numbers real heavy for BLM to claim that a black man has a 1 in 1,000 chance of being killed by a police officer in his lifetime. A homeless person, specifically homeless men, they have about a 1 in 960 chance of being killed by a police officer this year. That doesn't even count all of the other murders, like murder by exposure, because you have immoral laws that make it illegal for us to use blankets or to live within city limits, and you put all of the resources in the cities, and then you want to run us off into the national forest. And those of you who don't have to live through that, of the forest ranger forcing you back down into town. Those of you who use false accusations every day when you don't get your way. Oh, well, he probably just has a small dick because he didn't want to date you. And then you want to harm us as if we're body shaming you because he wouldn't date you because you're fat. That's what you tell yourself. No, he's fucking married. And how many of those situations do women feel entitled and show that they feel entitled? Why is it that it is so many women in this country who want to play that? When you tell women that they did something horrible. How many women got on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook, and men as well, to chastise me and treat me like shit about things they weren't there for? How many? You got the Christians, you got the half that tell you, oh, well, you got to convert to the Jesus. That's not help. That doesn't look at evidence or share it. It doesn't help the victim to turn in their predator. What it does is helps the predator to get away. Turn it in right away. Don't tell me you're fucking sorry. Why is it that men are expected to do the useful work? The useful work. I'm not saying there's no place for therapy. I'm saying that when you get help from a man, it's real actual fucking help that he's providing you. When you ask him for help moving all of your stuff like Jamie Curtis does repeatedly, or Jerry Sparks, it's a bunch of men that show up to do actual useful work, actually move that stuff. Many of them investing their own money because she's going to spend her money on herself. Now, this Cara McBratney showed that she had no interest in my safety or well-being. When she showed that she wasn't going to help, I stopped reaching out to her for help. I forgot she existed because while I'm waiting for her to fucking speak up, to fucking actually help, for years, you notice 2 years I did not get a hold of her, didn't even try. Was I expecting her to do something during that period of time? I'd already realized her content of character. Now, you know, I speak up. I speak up against racist hate groups like BLM and sexist hate groups like Me Too. The thing with all of you is that you show your sexism by repeatedly talking over me, telling me stories about yourself, talking about yourself. When you ask a man for help because you were just abused, he knows what he's supposed to do. When you ask a woman for help because you were just abused, she knows what she's supposed to do. Help you to turn it in right away. And do they? Most commonly, yes, compared to men. What are we told? We get the treatment of Cara McBratney, telling us how to think and how to feel and how philosophically blah, 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 how they support me and they hope I get justice. Hope I get justice. I have no hope of justice while you're playing stupid. Tammy George type, what was she supposed to do to help you? What all of you are supposed to do to help when someone... Help them to turn it in safely, especially if it's a male. Especially if it's a male. Males are especially prone to getting lied to and blown off. Especially prone to being yelled at and bullied. Especially a male with PTSD, because you will have no sympathy for him. A lot of women make the mistake of pretending that men are so much different. We have emotions. We're just not allowed to show them because you will hurt us for them. You will try to twist them into some evil, mean thing. If you're angry at a man, what do? You accuse him of being a homosexual, or you accuse him of wearing girls' panties, or, of course, touching little boys. And you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to say, oh, you're attacking me, when we say that it's wrong for you to treat us like that. You want to pity party us. You got involved knowing that you have fucking kids. You stuck your nose in it. Claimed that you wanted to help. Wasted a whole bunch of my fucking time. Said a bunch of things that you should have written down in fucking police reports and turned in with me. But you wanted to preach at the peanut gallery and then pretend you didn't exist when I literally had to speak up on YouTube and Facebook that you do. Because the cops wouldn't listen to me, because you never tried to turn in any of the things that you saw. Any of the things that you said to me. You never tried to turn those into the courts or the cops. You saw what the Bollingers were doing to me in these groups. You could have taken screenshots and turned it in, especially those of you who claim to be doctors and nurses in these groups, mental health care specialists. You were mandated by law to turn that shit in. And what did you do? You wanted to tell me you're sorry. What did I do when Brandon Ratner's brother, Sean Ratner, disappeared? I spoke up immediately and started trying to find him, getting a hold of other people that I knew and sharing it where it needed to be shared. Immediately. I didn't make him beg for 6 months until they found his corpse. And then 6 months after they find his corpse, I go, oh, by the way, Sean Ratner is missing. Jesus fucking Christ. Way to be fucking useful. We have taught women to be procrastinators in this country. I'm not going to watch a hate crime go down in front of me. Not against a white man, not against a white woman, not against a black man, not against a black woman. But I am also not going to tolerate that racism towards me. And if you're going to feed that at me, I know how to feed it back. And if I feed it back, you pretend I'm evil. I'm a horrible person for doing it back. When I'm going through a horribly traumatic experience, like my friend's dying, the last thing I need is for you to pretend like you're going to be my friend. The last thing I need is for you to pretend that you understand. When crimes are committed against a male, we need help turning it in. As a homeless man, I have a 1 in 960 chance of getting killed by a police officer this year. Just because I'm a homeless man. You know that speech that you got to give your black kids, your black sons, about you can't run when your friends do? You got to give that to your disabled son too. And you need to give that to homeless people too. Because homeless people don't have BLM backing them up. I'm not going to watch some guy here in Tillamook choking a woman out in the parking lot over there. What did I do? I did the right thing. I pulled out my camera. I recorded it. I spoke out immediately. I made sure that the thing was recorded, that the actual incident was recorded. I didn't say, oh shit, that woman looks half white. I might as well just make her do it herself. I didn't tell her she's got to go to the back of the bus because she's white. I didn't tell her, well, you know what? You probably had it coming because you screamed for help while he was choking you. He probably deserved to choke you. Jumping across the timeline everywhere you want to. You want to pretend that I spoke out about people abusing me before they abused me, and therefore it gives them the right to assault me, to threaten my life, to threaten to kill my friends and family. I speak out about racist hate groups like BLM, the KKK. I speak out about sexist hate groups like Me Too. There's a reason that I say no victim left behind at the end of my videos. These are all special rights groups, not human rights groups. There's a reason that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has his whole statue, his whole body, in a statue above the west entrance, Westminster Abbey in Great Britain. It's because they care more about our rights than we do. We've got all these different groups wanting to argue over who's more victimized. You know what? It's just as wrong for a police officer to kill a black man as it is to kill a white woman, but it's viewed differently, isn't it? How about if it's a white man? There's no special interest groups for him. For me, I want you to look at me. Do I have blonde hair? Do I have blue eyes? A lot of people tell me, well, there's all sorts of groups that help out white people. And then you tell me about the KKK? Are you shitting me? All they see when they look at me is Jew. Jew, 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 Jew. Let me guess, another one of those harassing number, I'm betting. Sure is. That's what happens when you slander a man. The way that my name was slandered. When you accuse an autistic man of being a schizophrenic nut job, you want to infer it by calling him mentally ill. You want to play victim. We have taught every woman in America that when a man tells her she did something wrong, she's supposed to go, oh my God, I can't believe you would attack me. How dare you tell her she did something wrong? How dare you tell her that she did something wrong? How dare you expect equality and that she take responsibility for her actions? How dare you? Like you're every moment of the last 7 years typing to her at every moment of every day saying, help me, help me, help me, help me. No, when you showed that you were going to be sexist about it, that you weren't going to help, you were just going to talk about yourself like you were taught to do, I stopped going to you because of that. I stopped asking you for help because you didn't care who hurt me. You weren't going to help turn it in. You weren't going to look at the evidence. When the entertainment factor of it being popular on the news and on the internet wore out, you got bored and you left. Some of you were too lazy to remove yourselves from my friends list. But guess what? The situation with Natalie Bollinger never died. They make stories about Natalie Bollinger and true crime sites all over the world. Those of you who, after Joseph Michael Lopez disappeared, you didn't bother to find that, or after Joseph Michael Lopez got busted, you didn't bother to find that out. The entertainment factor for you was gone because all you cared about was Natalie. You didn't care about the true story, and you certainly didn't care about me. And then you want to play victim by using keywords like attacked or saying key phrases to try to make me feel like I'm a bad person because you're a lying piece of shit. Like, oh, you can't expect people to just drop what they're doing 24/7. You can't just expect people to drop their whole lives. You dropped your life long enough to get involved, didn't you? And instead of getting involved in helping to turn in this evidence and these predators, what you got involved in was fucking drama and bullshit and fucking entertaining yourself. Obviously not you, Tammy George, at least not at the moment. You might be a decent human being. If you saw a woman going through this, would you speak up? Would you make the call? Tammy George typed, is she the police? Mandated reporter. That's the problem, is that I don't... ma'am, Tammy, I'm going to tell you something. I've been to literally hundreds of mandated reporters alone. You need a friend or family member to do it. I'm going to pull out some paperwork here with me. Please bear with me. I'm sorry if my words don't come together. I've been to the police. I've been to every mandated reporter I've been told to go to. They send me around in fucking circles without a friend or family to help. That's why I saved the paper evidence. The help that I've been asking for from the very start is the help that we, men, and you, women, know that you're supposed to provide for a woman. Why do you play stupid when it's a man that needs that help? Yes, I went to the police. I absolutely went to the police. I have gone to the police repeatedly. I have to be afraid to go to them alone because they will blow me off because I'm a disabled homeless male. I don't have the money to protect myself or defend myself. Nobody fucking cares and they know it. And until you show that you care, the way that you care about black people, the way you care about female victims, or female in general who want to pretend that they were victimized because they didn't get what they wanted right when they fucking wanted it. You get to see how different the rules are. How people believe that telling me what to do, what to think, what to feel, and who to call is in order for a male to turn this in safely, for it to get taken seriously, for him not to get blown off. He needs somebody to do it with him, especially if he's a disabled adult who is easy to take advantage of. Finances make him easier to take advantage of. Same thing with many, many black folks. They're living in impoverished areas. Just like many Hispanic folks, and just like many white folks. Poverty does not know a race. It doesn't know a skin color. Poverty does not know gender either. Poverty does not care. Poverty is a side effect of greed. And what do most of these homeless black men have, or what do these black men that are being killed by police, what do most of them have in common? Over 60% of them were homeless when they were killed. What do most of these black men who are incarcerated have in common? Over 80% of them were homeless when arrested. In Boulder County, your chances of being arrested and convicted as a black man versus a white man, given your respective populations in the area, is 5-1. As a black man, you are far more likely to be arrested and convicted compared to your white counterparts. But those numbers were done by Darren O'Connor, and there are 2 times of the year to pay attention to. School's in session and school is out of session. When school is in session, believe it or not, the black population of Boulder, Colorado increases by almost 5%. That may not seem like a lot. There's also the summer bunny season. That's when the population of white people increases by a lot. There are some springs and summers where Boulder's population will increase by nearly 100,000 people. It's a tourist spot and a tourist destination. Now here's something I want to tell you. If you do it during the right time of year, instead of doing all year round, you'll notice that it's not quite the same numbers that Darren O'Connor posted up. But also, he did do the numbers on the homeless. And the homeless have a 346 to 1 chance. 346 to 1. Not 5 to 1. 346 to 1 over their housed counterparts, regardless of color. We've got black men like Mark Swanigan, who is what's called a roll-through. The cops just mess with him because he's homeless. And they roll him through the jail, same as they do with Zach Boatman. They do it more often with Zach Boatman, because Zach Boatman is easy to victimize because he's schizophrenic. Nobody's going to believe him anyway. If somebody makes a false accusation against him, there's nobody who's going to step in and stop it. He's a schizophrenic homeless male. Yes, he should be in a home. Yes, he should be getting help. He is not capable of getting that help. And they just go, oh, well, he's denying help. He's denying help. No, he's not capable, and they know it. Many of the people that I was in jail with, I went to 2 church meetings near County Jail. Mind you, a lot of the people that are locked up there are black, and the majority of them were homeless when they were locked up. And one of the groups that I was in, 9 out of 10 of the people that were in that group were homeless when they were locked up. That's one of the things that's not singular to black men. All right? When you are forced into homelessness, no one cares about you anymore. Where the fuck are my goddamn car keys? My phone is going to die. I do apologize. Actually, no, it's not. I'm going to take it out and unplug it into my car starter here. Now, here's the thing with people like this Cara McBratney is, what help did I need and what did she offer? Did she even try communicating effectively? Listening to me. Calling me up and listening to me helps me to know that you're listening. The way that you react and interact with me at that point lets me know if you respect me or not. Do you listen to me or not? Do you talk about yourself and make it about you and share your personal experiences, or do you listen to the victim? And I'm gonna try to bring it about as rape, even though there are things that are far worse than rape. You can ask Teresa Massilia, another victim of Boulder police abuse as well as sexual assault. Ask her what it's really like. You know what's worse than being raped? Going to your trusted adult. When you're an adult, that's supposed to be the cops, right? And you go to your trusted adult and they ask you, are you sure you didn't maybe ask for it a little bit? They charged her with assault for fighting off the man who raped her. I speak up for her quite often. She's got her own channel now, and I'm fucking proud of her for doing good. You can check out her channel. It's Teresa Massilia, TheresaMycelia. They dehumanized her. Dehumanized her. You get to see with Zayd Atkinson how he was assaulted by an officer who hates homeless and loves violence, Waylon Lolatai. The first person he assaulted on camera was me in Boulder County. Boulder County Hospital. I got the hospital cameras, but I never got the body cameras. Those would have shown what was said, how antagonistic they were being, how much they lied to me to get me to go to a hospital when I was trying to help get the information that the Broomfield Police Department had asked for. A lot of people, Tammy Grace typed, I would report it for man or woman, black, white, green, purple, or unicorn. Sir, I'm at work at the moment. I'll have to come back later to watch the remainder of this, but I look forward to catching the rest. God bless you, sir. I don't know how well he's blessed me. If you actually help turn some of this stuff in and explain that I'm in an unsafe situation, that I cannot mentally take care of myself, that might help. Who is the first person to actually try going in with me the way that it's supposed to be done? That would be Jared Scudder last week. You get to see how when I call the cops right away, how they blow me off, talk over me. Somebody else calls the cops right away, they blow me off, talk over me. They never try to look at evidence, never try to investigate it, never try to talk to witnesses. And I have to be too scared to even go in alone because they might pull some bullshit and arrest me on false charges. When it comes to people's lives being at stake, I absolutely will break the law. Between you being dead and me being in jail, I'd rather be in jail. Between you being dead and me being in prison, I'd rather be in prison. Between you being dead and me being dead, I'd rather you were the one to survive. There's one lady who got a hold of me, and she typed a whole bunch of stuff at me and claimed that she had been advocating for me from the start and blah, 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 blah. It's literally all the stuff that she typed at me. And then she blocked me. No reason. I didn't even find her and able to reply to her until later. I was like, what the fuck is this about? She wanted to get on after, that's right, after people had been harming me and I'd been trying to speak out and get it turned in. Where were you advocating for me? Certainly not with the police. Certainly not to turn in the fucking crime. Certainly not to the media. Where's your evidence that you tried any such thing? But she didn't type at me to tell me that she was advocating for me. She typed at me to treat me like shit because after nobody was actually helping with me, just telling me that they did it and I'm supposed to just take their word for it. That's hearsay. You have to say it to the cops. You have to say it to the courts. When you or your friends or family were threatened by the Bollingers and their cronies, you needed to turn that in, and you needed to turn it in with me, and you needed to record it so that there was evidence of it, so that they couldn't make it their word versus mine, which is what these officers have done. This is what my predators have done. They've used this slander to paint me as a horrible person. Now I act the way that my predators do out of necessity, because that's the only thing you give a shit about. That is the only thing that I can do to draw attention to the sheer amount of abuse that I go through. And then because I have to do that, you pretend that every effort that I made before that didn't exist, and that magically I'm a horrible person because I said, hey, enough is a fucking enough. This is what, the 4th or 5th or 6th time that I pulled out this goddamn paperwork just this week to show people. See, that's the thing. I show it over and over and over again. If I show you, are you going to do anything with it? Are you going to go back and look at the evidence? Or are you going to make me, who doesn't have the ability to do so anyway? I don't have the ability to keep running in and out of the fucking building here with fucking shit on my back, with back injuries and leg injuries. I don't have the ability to keep writing stuff when I can barely hold a pencil. The things you ask me to do. Oh, why don't you just walk to, oh, your car doesn't work? Why don't you just walk? Why don't you just ride the bike? Holy shit. Are you not understanding I'm fucking broke? $800 is not enough to live on anywhere in the United States, especially when you have to run around like a chicken with your head cut off. Do you understand that I've been cut off from all of the resources here already because they break the law? Because I had to record them? And I still need somebody to help me turn that in so they don't blow me off again. Men are treated differently in this country. Homeless people are treated differently in this country. And we're the ones that you look away to the most. Now, a lot of y'all say that they're self-fulfilling prophecies because I talked about this fight well before these things happened to me this time. Well, guess what? That's because I grew up in the fucking system. All right? Most of the kids that I grew up with before I turned 15 were not white kids. I didn't know fucking shit about you people. I knew that most of the staff were white. That was about fucking it. Up in Washington State, a lot of people want to pretend it's all black people locked up. All black people. No, it ain't. Up in Washington State, the majority of the kids that I was locked up with were either Asian or Native American. There's always a high population of Hispanic folks pretty much everywhere you go that are thrown into the system because they're poor. It's just assumed they're guilty, but they're poor. That's why they're in there. They're poor. They're easy to railroad because they're poor. The cops know that all they got to do, their cop buddies are going to investigate them and find that they did nothing wrong every time. Unless it's posted on the media for people to care. But right now, there is so much hate coming from BLM, I can't support them. I can't support a racist hate group. If I see a black man getting beaten down in front of me, yeah, I'm going to fucking intervene. I don't have to support BLM to know that hate crimes are wrong. I don't have to pretend that these things aren't happening to white people, that they don't happen to males. 96% of those killed by police are males. 96%. 49% of those 49% of those killed by police in 2019 were homeless. 22% of those killed in 2019 were black. Black people had a population of about 60 million at the time. Homeless people had a population size of around 500,000 at the time. Last year, it's closer to 600,000 for the population of homeless people. And still a little bit over 60 million for the population of black people. Now, black people, it increased, okay? It went from police killing, 22% of the ones that they killed were black in 2019 to 24% of those killed by police in 2022 were black. However, 49% of those killed in 2019 were homeless. 49%. 51% were disabled. And all of those groups, the statistics are the same as far as what percentage are men. 96%. 96%. 96%. However, we're talking about a 2% difference in 5 years for the black population, but we're also talking about an 11% increase for a population size that is counted as less than 1 million. 60% of those killed by police in 2022 were homeless. That's up from 49% in 2019. Why is that? Because it is less socially acceptable to kill black people now. These police have to be afraid that if they do these things to black people, that we, the American people, are going to stand up and say, hell no. The problem is we're not doing this for the homeless. And we're telling white people they can't be victimized, and still telling men that they can't be victimized, including black men, including Asian men, and including white men. You're using things that didn't happen to you and that I didn't do, that happened hundreds of years ago, in many cases, as an excuse for you to do horrible things today. You have the right to vote, ladies. Using that as an excuse to look the other way or to treat me like shit, like I was born a drooling fucking rapist, is fucking sick. We're supposed to have a working communication. If I can't tell you that you've done something that's hurtful without you playing victim and claiming I attacked you, it's going on the internet. I didn't have the choice. You did. You had every opportunity to try to do the right thing, just as Joanna Taylor Smith did before Natalie was killed. The crimes committed against me since Natalie was killed, you've ignored all of them because all you cared about was who killed Natalie. And after that, you were bored. I didn't matter anymore because I wasn't dead. None of my friends and family members are going to care until I'm dead. And when I am dead, there's a good chance people are going to get more interested and actually take a look at some of this stuff. They're going to realize that obviously I did tell the truth. I did record the evidence with these cowards that never came forward because they showed bias. Every one of them showed that because I was a disabled homeless male, I matter very little. Now that 5-to-1 ratio in Boulder of black people being arrested and convicted compared to white people, that's given their population size. That means per capita of that particular group. But what they don't write down is that they're locking up people like Marvel Harper and Mark Swanigan and what's that guy's name? Demetrius. Over and over and over and over and over again, rolling them through and throwing them back out. Rolling them through and throwing them back out. They take them in on a mental health hold. The county gets to charge $120,000 to the American taxpayers. 3 days later, if that person is right back out on the streets and somebody has made a profit. It's just not you. You're the one paying for it. BLM is making things worse for all of us. Me Too is making things worse for all of us. The KKK is making things worse for all of us. I can't even think of the LGBT groups as anything more than hate groups now. I'm a man. That doesn't mean that I am automatically guilty. When a woman decides that because she didn't get what she wanted and she's angry, like Rayanne Ingersoll is recorded saying, same thing with Christine Bouhit. They did horrible things because they were angry. And why were they angry? Because I told the truth. It's okay for a woman when she doesn't get what she wants to run around to all of your friends and family and accuse you of shit that you didn't do. And then she's going to play victim when your friends and family are treating you like shit and you go, see, here's the text messages right here. Yeah, here's a little part that she showed you. Here's all the rest of it. You can read it for yourself. You can look at that for yourself. Instead of taking somebody's word for it, look at both sides. Look at all evidence. Kind of like the thing with Leslie Snell. She worked for a crooked cop in Chapel, Nebraska. Since Natalie's death, they've arrested me on 11 separate occasions on over 30 separate bogus charges and had to drop the charges every single time. Why is it they keep arresting me? Because that's who I have to go to turn in my predators. The same assholes who helped me get away with it before. And by preventing me from turning them in, from preventing me from even being allowed to turn in evidence at the courthouse. You think that telling me to go turn it into the police 100 times is actually going to get that done? No, you have to do it safely with me, because if I try to turn it into the police, I'll get blown off, because how dare a male ever go to the police, especially a homeless male? This is for women and people in houses. If you need help as a male, you need a pretty woman to help you. You need a pretty female to care, or nobody else is going to. Or you need a friend or family member. And here's the thing about a friend or family member. This is why it's on my paperwork. It's assumed that your friends and family care about you and love you and know what's going on, care to find out what's going on, and don't want harm coming to you. But none of my friends even cared that I was being harmed. They were always too busy. That's how they show they don't care. And we have taught women, especially, that they are only to help in that way. Oh, you just tell them what to do, and that's good. No, that's not true. Or you lead them on for 6 months that you're going to help turn it in. You say, yeah, I saw it. I'll help you turn it in. I saw it. Yeah, Sean, they were all sorts of cruel. I even got screenshots of some of the threats. Really, where are they? When are you going to help me to turn them in? 6 years from now? I'm going to stop going to you for help. When I go to you for help right after I was fucking assaulted, right after I was threatened, right after somebody threatened to kill my friends or family, and I come to you for help, and you want to tell me about everything going on in your life, all of your personal problems, how you don't have time, and you're going to do that for 45 minutes to an hour. Meanwhile, I need you to listen because you're going to take everything I type out of context because you can't hear the verbal inflection, the vocal inflection. Not that it matters. Most of you can't tell if I'm being sarcastic or not. When you have Tourette syndrome and you're nervous and you do this, a lot of people associate that with being on drugs. When you got Tourette syndrome, it's obviously not because you're on fucking drugs. But when you're predators who are on drugs, are pretty females who feel that when they didn't get what they want because they're angry, it's okay to slander your name, and lots of people do harm you. And every woman knows this. There isn't a single woman who has typed to me about it and explained that they were sorry that hasn't explained to me that they're aware that this happens. They see it often. Do you know why it happens? Because rather than you speaking up about how wrong it is, you let it happen because it happened to a dude. Where the hell are my papers? Maybe it's under this stack here. I'm expected to understand your PTSD. I'm expected to understand that you went through abuse. But when you offer to help me, talking about your abuse nonstop and your abusers is not help. Getting a hold of me when you're drunk to tell me about your drunk husband or your dead husband for the 11th time is not help. Jesus fuck, where the hell is that paperwork? This is what happens when you have to live in a vehicle. You're constantly moving. See, I don't need you guys to give me an hour a week when literally I'm going to have over a dozen crimes committed against me per day, at least on the internet. Not to mention what happens in real life. You don't stop to consider the costs when I have just enough money that I can rent out a room for 2 days, but after that I'm fucked. So we have to make the best use of that 2 days as possible. And all you're doing is talking about yourself. That's not help. Where the fuck is that goddamn paperwork? A lot of people want to tell me about their God. Their God isn't doing anything. Their God is not going to speak up about what they saw. Their God has moved them to look the other way, apparently. It is their calling to look the other way to harm. Those things that you say to me, why are you preaching to the peanut gallery? That's what I am here. I'm speaking up to try to get help turning this in, and you're busy telling me how to think and how to feel, and oh, you know what goes on, you worked here and you worked there. Why don't you speak up? Why don't you speak up? Maybe it's in my man purse if I can find it. Where is my man purse? Oh, it smells like I must have perforated my oil bottle. The thing is, here I am, I'm going to try to show again for somebody who's new to it and doesn't understand what's going on yet. I'm going to try to show that. God damn it, where's my man purse? Oh, Jesus, this is not okay. It was behind me the whole time. You see how difficult this is? Like, I have to move stuff all the time. This is not enough money to live on. And when you're forced to go to court date after court date for crimes that weren't committed, you got public pretenders who won't do their jobs. Nobody's going to do their jobs unless you have a friend or family member who shows that they care. There's a lot of people who claim that they did things that they have no evidence of. Oh, well, you can't expect me to drop my entire life. Lady, you can drop 40 hours of your life to type shit at me. Or even 4 hours of your life to type shit at me. Or with some of these people, close to 100 hours of them making excuses, talking over me, saying the same goddamn thing. They don't even know what help I need. They don't know what's going on. They're too busy making excuses over and over and over again. Like that piece of shit, Ariana. Don't play fucking head games with me. Don't get involved to begin with. Don't fucking stick your nose in people's businesses and pretend like you care when you fucking don't, when it's just entertainment. Because that's hurtful and it gets us killed. You don't care though because you don't live the risks. Just like many women don't understand that when you are angry and you try accusing a man of being a child molester or a rapist or a fucking stalker, you don't care how many people hurt him. You already know that you have done it specifically because you want that man hurt. I'm not just going to watch women be harmed. A lot of y'all say, oh, Sean, you're a woman hater. No, I'm not. I'm an equality lover, but I don't have equality, and I haven't in my lifetime. I was born the son of 2 cocaine addicts. Oh, yeah, but that's not what it shows on Gangsta Paradise, right? That shit only happens in the inner cities of L.A. and fucking Bronx, New York, right? You've gotten to see me from one end of the country to the other. What is this whole country saturated in? What is the one thing you can find anywhere? Tweakers. That shit is so cheap that you've got homeless tweakers all over America. You've got people who can keep a roof over their head and still be full-time tweakers. That's how cheap that shit is. It is everywhere. Now, for somebody like me who's got Tourette syndrome, I'm automatically treated like I must be on drugs. I'm autistic, so people just want to assume I'm retarded. Because I'm different, they're afraid of me. And that's what it comes down to. Why am I not afraid of black people? Well, individually, there are black people that I'm afraid of because they're just dicks. But I grew up with black people, so I understand that it's not fucking boys in the hood. You know, believe it or not, those of you white guys in Chapel, Nebraska, whose houses I've been to for dinner, when you decided that you was going to try pretending you knew Ebonics and you was a gangster from Compton, and apparently gangsters from Compton speak Ebonics no matter what, and you're sitting there at the dinner table and your mom offers to slap you if you do that again. Yeah, I've been at rich black kids' houses in Boulder, Colorado, where their mama did the same thing, except it wasn't threatening to do so. It was just a fucking whack across the face. And then the disrespectful thing that we're not supposed to say. When his mama says, boy, I told you. You know how to speak. And then, of course, there's Tourette syndrome. When I tell people I have Tourette's, all of these people have a magic token Tourette syndrome friend named Twitch. Why is it everybody's friend with Tourette syndrome is named Twitch? You don't find that fucking derogatory? You don't think that's rude? You can't be racist because you got a black friend? You understand autism because your uncle's brother's cousin's former dog's former owner had a kid who was autistic? Holy shit. I'm also not going to pretend that I haven't seen hate crimes the other way or lived hate crimes the other way. But I gotta tell you, when I moved to Chapel, Nebraska at 15, that was culture shock. I'd never seen so many white faces in one place without anyone else. You know how well I was liked in Chapel, Nebraska? I stuck up for gay people. That did not get me liked. I stuck up for black people. I didn't like the fact that they wanted to call Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Well, you probably know what they call it in Nebraska. I didn't particularly like that. And when I spoke up, that's when folks at Chapel, Nebraska started calling me N-word lover. Here's my paperwork. Right here. It's elder abuse, because obviously when you're homeless, they don't care what fucking paperwork they give you. They don't care how fucking inept they are. They can be that inept. Their mistakes aren't going to harm you, not them, because nobody cares. They gave me the elder abuse paperwork, which is very close, but it also shows malpractice. They fucked up. Now, it's the same for if you're an at-risk adult. It says, how can elder abuse be prevented? Now, the reason we have to explain this is because you guys, you naturally do this when a woman says, hey, I need help, I was just abused. You're naturally going to do these things, right? You're trained to. But we have to explain to you that disabled people need exactly that kind of help. The law is set up so that that's the kind of help that works. Going to a friend or family member. How can elder abuse be prevented? It says if you are a family member or a friend, try to see the person regularly. Who does that? Oh, Sean, but you're so far away. When I was there, you didn't try to see me. I had to move because you didn't care. You didn't try any of these things that friend or family member. This right here. Try to see the person regularly. Frequent visits will help you determine if the person shows signs of abuse or neglect. Or they might outright tell you they're being abused. You ever think of that? Like I did. It says, get to know the staff who are taking care of the person. Look up Officer Waylon Lolotai. Waylonlollotai. Look his name up. That's the kind of staff that took care of me. I want you to look up Sarah Nelson, Lincoln Correction Center. That's the staff that were taking care of me. She's the assistant warden, and she's now in prison herself for sexual assault against inmates. Congratulations for not listening to me. Express any concerns you may have right away, not procrastinating for years. Keep notes of the conversations. Take pictures if there are signs of abuse or poor health standards. Offer to accompany the person to medical appointments, financial institutions, and other important meetings. This is for our safety, folks. Now let's read this here. Remain active. Avoid isolation. I try not to be. And cultivate a strong support network of family and friends. Oh yes, family and friends who, when I'm there in person, say they don't have time, or that I just need to move elsewhere, or I just need to get away from my abusers. When it's all over the internet and the news, like it was with Natalie, that ain't another restricted goddamn number. Fucking it's been going on since October of 2016, just so you know. Remain active, avoid isolation, and cultivate strong support network of family and friends. I have to beg people to care. I have to beg people to pretend like they'll do one of these things that a family member or friend are supposed to do. And why is it that it addresses family member or friends first? Because without them, we won't be allowed to do most of this stuff. Most of this can be cut off from us just due to negligence and laziness on the part of police officers or mental health workers. It says, be active in taking care of your health problems. I'm trying. I'm too broken. I have no assistance. I am disabled, and I am not allowed to do these things myself. Because I am a disabled male, if I go into the hospital looking like a hobo, the chances are I'm going to get treated like a junkie instead of them finding out what's going on. Same thing if you got the bad insurance. It says avoid signing documents or transferring money or property to anyone without first getting legal advice. The problem is that who's giving me legal advice and which legal advice is being heard. The stuff that the lawyers said to do, I've tried and followed. But without a friend or family member, it doesn't work. And that's what the lawyers explained. You need a friend or family member to help you turn it in right away. It says keep notes of the conversations, and that is important. However, it is more important to actually record the conversation itself so that, well, as human minds are flawed, and you might not get the words written down perfectly, or you might be writing, well, a little bit slower than they can talk. It gets complicated, and you can very easily make mistakes. Also, when you're being the go-between, instead of talking with the people, how do the people who are being abused know that you're not fucking up, that you're not accidentally reinterpreting or misinterpreting it yourself? It says, assert your right to be treated with respect and dignity. And that's the thing, is that when I'm explaining to you that this is the help that I need, the most important one is expressing concerns you may have right away. For me, it says ask professional help right away if you need help managing your health care, daily living, or finances. Assert your right to be treated with respect and dignity. Respect and dignity. If you're trying to finish my sentences, you're not treating me with respect and dignity. If you're talking over me, you're not treating me with respect and dignity. If you're harassing me from restricted numbers, you are not treating me with respect and dignity. If I am being harmed, and I am trying to tell you that I am being harmed and I need to turn it in, you not helping to turn that in, anything that you do other than being supportive and helpful in turning it in, is not help. It's all dismissive. Because none of it, other than going with the person to help turn it in, putting your name on it instead of being afraid. Now there's self-advocacy for disabled people. And there's a list on there. Things like listen to the victim, don't talk over them, don't try to finish their sentences, don't try to overanalyze it. You need to listen to what happened and help them to turn it in. They may have problems with communication, especially if it literally just happened or if they are in a state of crisis over it because it's a repeated thing. You may need to speak for them at times and explain that they're not on drugs. They do have Tourette syndrome. That they're not schizophrenic. That they're scared. And there's communication issues because they're autistic. It says ask a family member or friend you trust to represent you as power of attorney in case you need this. Refuse to allow anyone you do not choose to become involved in your financial affairs. The problem is, without a friend or family member, I can be threatened, harassed, and intimidated into doing all of these things that it says to do. I can be threatened, harassed, or intimidated into not doing these things that it says to do very easily. Including if I have to trust a friend or family member who isn't trustworthy, but because of my desperation, I'm trying to trust them. It also says, outline your wishes with advance directives or a living will for medical decisions. Do not resuscitate. That's my medical decisions. I'm going to try to go inside, I guess. There's a lot more to this. The part that's wrong is this right here. It gives people the wrong idea about who it's supposed to be turned into. Because when I try to call it into these numbers, I'm told I have to call mental health, or I need to call the cops, and they're supposed to call mental health, or I get redirected to the DHS, or the APS, or the CPS. And then, of course, none of them try at all to understand my disabilities or how the crimes that I'm trying to turn in, how my disabilities are literally preventing me from doing that. That includes financial disabilities that were created by my predators and their slander, which was heard over my evidence.